hapon po. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you the Philippine General Hospital's CBRN, I'll describe this later, preparedness program. So from primary healthcare kanina yung concepts of health, pupunta tayo sa very specific po na programa po ng ating Philippine General Hospital. So this, as far as I know, this is the first hospital-based CBRN program designed to treat casualty from an incident involving hazardous material, toxic materials. So I would just like to acknowledge the contribution of a colleague of mine, an emergency physician who is now based in the US, Dr. Lorraine Cadiz. Right, so this would be the outline of my talk. So I'll give a background on CBRN, and I'll describe the resources that we have at the PGH program, and share with you our experiences and trainings and challenges in this field. Next slide, please. All right. So the term CBRNE, so C stands for chemical, then biological, radiological, nuclear, and the E stands for explosive. These are hazardous materials that are found everywhere. Actually. And so this is the focus of this program. So these threats are present everywhere, sa bahay, kung papapupunta kayo sa kitchen, sa bathroom nyo, even in your bedroom, nandiyan yung mga toxic chemicals, like muriatic acid, yung mga panlinis cleaning agents natin. And then in our school laboratories, in our pharmaceutical laboratories, in our workplaces, so nandiyan po itong mga CBRN threats. Alright, so I'm sure most of you would be more familiar with the term hazmat or hazardous materials. So this is used in the field of occupational health and safety. But if you talk to law enforcement and security people, they would be using the term CBRNE. So they use this differently to describe an incident, and the difference lies in the intent, the risk, and the scope. So pareho po, both hazmat and CBRNE refer to the toxic materials that are found everywhere. Alright, so ano po yung difference? So hazmat or hazardous material refers to an incident where there's an accidental release of a toxic agent. So normally the agent is non-weaponized, and there's a high priority on the safety of the personnel responding to the incident, as well as, of course, the public. And it tends to occur on a smaller scale. So think of chemical spills in the laboratory. Parang 2 years ago, we had a mercury spill in one of our science high schools in Manila. So, and then we have the more common industrial incidents that occur na hindi na yan nababalita. And then normally, there's also prior knowledge of the potential hazard. So if we talk about factories or workplaces in the industrial zones, meron silang mga material safety sheet na naka-identify kung ano yung mga klaseng chemicals that they're working with. Now, when we term an incident as CBRN or CBRNE or CBRN, para mabilis, CBRN, this is an incident where there is a deliberate use of chemical warfare agents. So if you follow the news, if we talk about what's happening in Syria, so meron po doong mga incidents na sinasabi ng United Nations that there was the intentional use of chemical warfare agents against their enemies in that conflict zone. So there's a specific intent to incite terror, cause harm to people and the environment. Now, if you are a responder, there's an acceptance of a certain level of risk. Alam mo na pag nag-respond ka, pwede ka rin maapektuhan, And ito ang nakakatakot in a CBRN incident, there's an usually unknown po or unidentified substance. Kasi part nga yun, ng criminal act na yun, para hindi prepared yung mga tao mag-respond. Next po. Alright, so I'll introduce you to the players when we respond to a CBRN incident. So ang unang pupunta po dyan, if a CBRN incident occurs in the community, would be what we call the emergency first responders. So this would be the firefighters, the law enforcement, mga police, local police natin, and the ambulance service personnel or the emergency medical technicians. Now, sa atin po sa Pilipinas, the agency mandated to respond first to a CBRN incident or hazmat incident is BFP, the Bureau of Fire Protection. So they have this special unit called the Special Rescue Unit. They are trained with the proper equipment to respond to a CBRNE incident. Next po. And then kami po na nasa frontline ng mga hospitals, I'm an emergency physician, so I work in the emergency department. Kami po yung tinatawag na first receivers. So these are hospital employees who work at the site, normally in a hospital, remote from the location where the hazardous substance release occurred. No? So from the community, dadalhin ng mga first responders to a medical facility, yung mga victims or casualties for further medical management. So our exposure compared to the first responders is limited to the substances transported to the hospital on the victim's body. No? So compared sa mga first responders, sila yung exposure na direct, no? Maybe direct from the source of the toxic agent. Kami, ma-expose kami dun sa kung ano lang yung dala ng mga victims. Kung na properly decontaminated sila, that's the term used po, no? It's a medical procedure para tanggalin po yung mga toxic chemicals dun sa casualties or sa victims. Next slide. Alright, so health workers are at risk for CBRNE threats when the hospital receives contaminated patients during mass casualty events. So to protect employees, hospitals benefit from to help in information, to help in emergency planning. Dito po papasok yung collaboration namin with the different agencies, no, BFP, PNP, AFP, involved in managing a CBRNE incident. Alright, so paano po nabuo yung PGH CBRNE program? So ito po yung contribution ng UP to the medical cluster group of the National CBRNE Action Plan. So this is po so the government, in response to these threats, no, bumuo siya ng isang team to create this action plan, and the goal is to reduce the threat of and damage from CBRNE incidents of accidental, natural, and intentional origin, including terrorist acts. So ito po yung parang bagong twist, no? Dati parang hazmat lang tayo, general exposure to toxic agents. Ngayon, nandun na po yung factor na intentional use of these agents to harm people. Next. Alright, so ano ba yung mga risk scenarios? Gaano ba ito likely na mangyari? So, we have the natural CBRNE incident. So ngayon po medyo na pagpapalit na rin yung term na hazmat and CBRNE, no? But they refer naman din to the same agent. So natural CBRNE will be natural hazards, no? Diseases, so uso ngayon nga po yung mga outbreaks, and then with the emerging infections, we may be faced with epidemics and pan-epidemics. And then earthquakes, floods impacting on CBRNE materials. So the best example of this is the earthquake in Japan in 2011, damaging the Fukushima nuclear plant, no? So that was a natural event impacting a man-made structure. And then we have the more common accidents in our industrial sites, no? Mga factories, then laboratories, schools, and other accidental incidents. And ito yung pinaka-complicated, the criminal CBRNE hazards, no? That involves terrorism, sabotage, and illicit CBRNE trafficking. So yung movement nitong mga radioactive materials. So recently we had the news, no, na merong galing sa South Korea na waste material na radioactive, no, nakapasok sa waters natin. Alright, so ang objectives of this program are first to train medical professionals and hospital personnel, since we're under an academic institution, so part of our mandate is to train. No? So right now, this program is in its infancy, so we are training ourselves muna. Hindi po available kasi yung training for this specific medical response, no? So we were trained by experts from the US and the EU, and we're also getting training abroad. So the plan is later on to share what we've learned, no, to other medical hospital personnel and other institutions. And second is we will serve as the receiving hospital and provide secondary decontamination in case there's a mass casualty incident. So pag sinabing secondary decontamination, ibig sabihin na nagawa na sila ng primary decontamination, yung initial cleaning, no, ng toxic materials sa patients at the site bago sila dalhin sa hospital. So then we have to do secondary decontamination to make sure that they do not contaminate other patients in the hospital as well as the hospital personnel. And then we support our first responders through technical expertise. So nasa PGH po ang ating National Poison Control and Management Center. Then we have specialties involved in managing of these patients such as emergency medicine, trauma service, or infectious disease section, and so on. Alright, so we call our response teams incident teams. So these are core members, and we train ourselves to do different tasks, no? Para at any given time, since the hospital runs 24/7, no? At any given time kung may incident, we can assemble a team, no? To be able to respond efficiently. So each team has further subdivisions based on tasks and roles during decontamination. All right, so this I'll just go through the basic steps that tasks that we do when we respond to an incident. So we do triage, which is prioritizing patients who need to be seen first. Then this is the main task, decontamination. Okay, so this is a procedure where the patients need to remove their clothes, and if required, they need to be washed and so on. Then we set up our equipment and our mass casualty decontamination tent, and then provide emergency medical treatment. All right, so I'll just show you the mass casualty decontamination tent. This was a donation of the U.S. Embassy. So yan po yung tent. So we can process at least actually 3 patients at a time, no? And syempre hindi ka pwedeng pumasok dyan sa loob ng tent if you are not properly suited up. And we have the hazmat suits, no? Maraming different types of hazmat suits then depending on the agent involved. So this is the parang the baseline hazmat suit, no, for the common cases of exposure. So this is one of our drills, no. So we use actual volunteers, no, as victims. So meron din kaming backup system kasi yung tent na yan, it would take about siguro 30 minutes to set up, and you have to have the number of people to set it up. So meron kaming backup system kung mabilisan, may biglang dumating sa hospital, mga walk-in, no, from the site who need to be decontaminated. So pwede kaming gumamit ng ito yung ginagamit din ng hospitals pag wala pa kaming gamit, no, yung usual palanggana, tapos meron kang the system to wash the patients, no. And syempre may privacy, pa rin yan, protocol and so on. So may backup system pa rin na simple lang, simple equipment. Right, and we practice, of course, incident command system even in the hospital setting. Alright, so just to go through the phases now when we do response. So if an incident happens in the community, there's a chemical exposure, for example, normally the one who will identify the emergency would be a bystander. Or if it's in a workplace, one of the workers, no, in a school, a teacher, a student. So that bystander has to be trained, no, to access an emergency hotline. So when the emergency teams are accessed, so we have the rescue and paramedical personnel going to the site, properly protected, no, and trained to respond to this type of emergencies. So they will do primary decontamination if needed. And then they will, for those patients who need advanced medical care, they need to be brought to a hospital or medical facility. So they would need to link up with these hospitals, no? So yun yung dispatch actually ng PGH po. So this person will receive the call and then activate the team. Okay, so transportation is required, different then from transporting a regular patient, no? So kailangan protected then yung crew from the toxic agent. And then in the hospital setting, we do secondary decon and acute management. All right, so what we need in the hospital is rapid and accurate access to information. So that should be relayed from the site, okay, to the hospitals receiving the casualties. So importante that we do collaborate, we collaborate and we train together with the other pre-hospital personnel. Just key points, so PGH will be a receiving hospital for secondary decontamination. Right now, we are capable, so far, as a practice namin, to manage chemical and radiological incidents. Ang biological, medyo mahirap, ibang level din ng preparation. And right now, it is RITM, the Research Institute for Tropical Medicine, which is designated to manage incidents involving biological agents. Right. So an issue is site selection. pag nagdi-decontaminate po kami for mass casualty, hindi pwede sa loob ng hospital. It has to be outside, no, before they enter the emergency department. So we utilize the parking lots or any open space. Of course, there are a lot of other factors to consider when selecting the site. Okay, so just to share with you, no, the trainings that we've undergone. So ito is a joint bioterrorism response training. Kasama namin dyan PNP, AFP, people from the Bureau of Animal Industry and so on. No? So those involved with biological agents. Addressing risk mitigation of first responders, so biosafety, biosecurity issues. So essentially, tinuruan kami how to use the different personal protective equipment and how to use the simple equipment, no, kung wala kayo ng mga high-tech equipment for managing exposures. So this is the EU, European Union contribution to our training. So this is the 10th naman of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. We train regularly with AFP. Because we have the same equipment. Donation then of the US. Alright, so this is us doing our equipment training. Alright, ito medical management. So ito naman, we gathered our medical personnel to be trained to handle CBRN patients. So yung awareness pa lang po among medical personnel regarding CBRN, mababa. We need to work on that first, no? And then we go through our medical management workshops. This is us naman doing training with the BFP of Region 11 in Davao City. So ang Davao City, medyo advanced na rin yung mga gamit nila. This is for the on-site decontamination. Alright, and recently in July this year, we had an interagency training simulation exercise. So Metro Manila-wide po itong exercise na to. So nag-simulate sila ng exposure to a chemical incident with an explosion, no, in Manila. So kung paano nag-respond yung mga different agencies, and ang last leg of that exercise was the first responders bringing the patients to PGH for further management. Right, so challenges, we need to do more tabletop simulation exercises to analyze and identify gaps, then continue collaboration with other institutions, with the Department of Health, and other hospitals, medical facilities, and our first responders. Develop and conduct training programs for PGH and other government institutions. Raise awareness among medical and hospital personnel. Magugulat kayo, medyo hindi pa rin kami masyadong sanay pagdating dito sa mga type ng incidents na to. And increase knowledge on medical management. Alright, so thank you very much.